right, welcome to the show, World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Nick Geber and Danny Page with you here on the Sports Byline Network. Man, a great day today. Some quality Champions League action, and we're going to take you through it today. There are some recurring topics going on, and we are going to touch on those. Danny, did you enjoy the matchups today?
Yeah, I did enjoy the matchups today. The first league ties always tend to fizzle out a little bit, don't they? They tend to leave us wanting a little bit more, and I know for a fact that Arsenal wanted more. It was in some ways very, it brought to mind yesterday's match. Incredible stuff, and we're going to get to it today.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk about it. And the 10-man curse for English teams, we'll find out if it'll continue next week as the next batch of teams get ready to play in the Champions League. It is good to have the Champions League back, but quite honestly, Danny, I'm jonesing for my Premier League.
You just love the Premier League.
Up on your
mic, you do during the summer, man. I mean, come on. Let's. Well, now it's MLS. We've initiated our MLS mission on this show, obviously, but you can't deal with anything but the BPL, man.
No, I can. I can deal with MLS. And look, I love the Champions League too, don't get me wrong. By the way, I want to talk about a few things in the Champions League. I want to talk about something that I touched on rather rudely, I might add, yesterday in terms of you and your love for Barcelona. I want to talk about...
You are rude, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I wanted to touch on the global love fest for Barcelona and ask, even though they're a great team, is it as warranted as maybe all the sound around it is? We're going to talk about that. Not yet, Danny. You'll have your chance. Also, I am sick and tired, Danny, of people complaining about refereeing decisions. Manuel Pellegrini out of order today. Arsene Wenger, I thought he was out of order today. Let's talk about it. And Danny, do you think it's time to redo the red card rule?
I think it's a great question, and it's only the answer to that question is only gathering more and more momentum as far as, yes, affirmative. It's gathering a lot of momentum.
All right, we'll be speaking to David Mosse, the stat man himself from Fox Sports, will be joining us in just a few minutes to talk about these topics some more. In the meantime, folks, we'd love to hear from you. Find us in the studio here. You can give us a call, 800-878-PLAY, 800-878-7529, in case you can't figure out what play is on your dial pad. And we almost don't have dial pads anymore, Danny. It's all just contacts dial. Yeah, right.
You have the old rotary.
No, I got the old jitterbug phone, the one with the big numbers on it for the old people. Yeah, so let's get to that. And, of course, Twitter at World Soccer Radio. Big hello to our men and women in uniform listening on American Forces and, of course, those listening on the affiliate station of the Sports Byline Network. We do have to go to break, so we'll do that. And we'll be right back with more on World Soccer Radio. All right, we welcome you back with a little new age music for you to, I don't know, ring your bell, light your crystal, whatever it is you do. All right, welcome back. Nick and Danny with you. World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. My name, it sounds like it, Danny. Everyone have to repeat after me. No?
You really are out of your mind.
I am.
You know that?
I am. I can't help it, Danny. I'm a football fan.
I think that's pretty clear now to your longtime listeners.
You know who needs to chill out and do some self-introspective, calming exercises?
Who's that?
Arsene Wenger and Manuel Pellegrini.
More Pellegrini this time, though, I would say.
Yeah, I'm calling him Manuel Yellegrini because, Danny,
Nice.
in the wake of yesterday,
Nice.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for him that they got the red card. Di Michaelis earned that red card.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that red card should ever have been in question. Pellegrini claiming that the Swedish referee is somehow biased against City or for Barcelona. The fact of the matter is he took a chance with Di Michaelis. We were talking about this yesterday. We were talking about this on Friday. You've mentioned this over and over again about Man City. Kartik Krishnaiyer was talking about this too. He is a weak link on this team. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
He was a late signing, a veteran in European football in a serious way. He's played in World Cups for Argentina as well, but he just obviously wasn't going to fit in at this world-class level, and he made a grave error.
Yeah.
It was, while the tackle started outside the box, it was a clear sending off. But Manuel Pellegrini's problem is that he begins to question the officials' integrity.
That's it, Dan.
And that is where it all falls apart, Nick.
That's it. There are issues. There are times when we have been able to impugn the integrity of referees. And we have had very, very few of those occasions, but they have been there. This is not one of them. I'm sorry. No. We have to be able to look. Howard Webb the other day in the FA Cup match had an absolute stinker of a game. And I know we joke about Howard Webb and how he's was Alex Ferguson's referee and in his back pocket. If you ever thought that I really believed that, you're mad. I just think he's a bad referee, that perhaps more of the bad calls go against Liverpool, et cetera, et cetera. So
Made for good radio, too. But.
Right. So, I don't like it, though, when managers impugn the integrity of the referees, because unless you have some very specific proof that the referee is biased, that the referee is making bad calls deliberately, you just need to shut the hell up.
Yeah, no, I agree. I didn't know if you were going to continue or not. And the way it comes off, and it's unfortunate because of how it represents the game in England, the way it comes off is just as sour grapes.
Yeah, absolutely.
The way it comes off is just as well. And I feel like the English game gets that rep sometimes anyway lately, because those who follow the English game and those in England turn around and constantly are reminding every other league of how they are the best league in the world. And I think that these European moments like the last two nights can kind of be these, I told you so moments. And to me, really, it just doesn't bode well for the English game as a whole when Pellegrini makes comments like that.
Because Danny, I'm going to say this. I don't like women's football, okay? I don't like women's football, not because it's a bad game. It's not. Not because these women aren't incredible athletes, because they are. Just because it's not the pace of the game that I really enjoy.
Right.
Okay. By the same token, MLS for years has struggled with a slower paced game. It's still a little slower, but it's improving. So look, I think the Premier League is a fast and physical game, and I think what you find in Champions League matches are maybe tackles that would be a yellow card in the Premier League become red cards in Europe. However, I want to put a big however on that. I don't believe that was the case. I think Di Michaelis' red card was a red card in the Premier League, and it was the red card in the Champions League. I believe the sending off of Szczesny was a red card in the Champions League, and it would have been a red card in the Premier League. I mean, I just don't think these are just end of story.
What did that have to do with women's football?
Well, no, I'm just saying they're different games. We've got different games in Europe, different games in Spain. People are saying that it's a slower game. It's maybe not as physical. That's where I was going with that. It was a bad. I'm sorry, it was bad. But that's what I was trying to say. Was that
at least you're honest?
Right? No. Is that I think there is an argument to be made about the style of refereeing in European football. But these were both red cards, whether they were played in the Premier League or they would have been red cards if they were played at the Women's World Cup or in Major League Soccer. They are just red cards. End of story. Manuel Pellegrini, shut up. Arsene Wenger was going to have a heart attack right there on the sidelines today. Why? Shake your head. It was just one of those things.
Yeah, both were sending offs, and there were so many sort of eerie similarities in these games, weren't there? The sending off, the constant pressure that followed, the late second goal to make it a 2-0 defeat.
Yeah.
I just look at how incredible the Premier League is and how much we love it week in and week out. And I have to wonder and think back to 5 years ago when 3 of the 4 semifinalists were English teams. I think we have to look now and say that the top teams have fallen back to the pack a little bit in the Barclays Premier League. And the top teams obviously aren't what they used to be in comparison to the rest of world football.
I totally disagree with you. I couldn't disagree more with you.
I think those are fair assessments. These are 2 of the 3 title-chasing teams, and they were beaten 2-0 at home to open these knockout stages. That just wouldn't have happened 5 years ago, Nick.
Well, first of all,
it would not have happened. And we talk about the parity, and we talk about how these teams are so close, and anyone can beat anyone anyway. It's because those teams just aren't as good anymore at the top.
I totally disagree with you, and I'm going to tell you.
I know, that's why I said it.
First of all, Manchester City are trying to build a European squad, and it's tough to do. The reason that it's tough to do is very simple. You have 2 very, very different styles of football that you play in Europe and that you play in the Premier League. So you do need 2 almost totally different squads, 2 totally different mindsets, and it takes a long time to build that pedigree in. Man City doesn't have it. Arsenal, bless their Arsenal hearts, have never really done that well in Europe. Yeah, they got to the final once recently in living memory, but they lost, right? Who was it to, Danny?
They made it to the semifinals, by the way, that period I'm talking about in 2000.
They made it to the finals. Didn't they lose to Barcelona?
Yes, they lost to Barcelona. They made it to the semis in 2009 when they lost to United, and Barcelona ultimately won. Arsenal have been able to go deep into this tournament.
But if you look at the teams, like a Chelsea, and I'm going to say it.
And then who else?
I'm going to say it. Look at a Man United, okay? Look at a Liverpool. These are teams that have European pedigree, and they do better in Europe than the other teams do. Because it takes seasoning.
That would all have gotten beat by 2 goals tonight.
That's nonsense.
They would have easily been beat by.
I don't think so. Are you telling me that if Arsenal had kept 11 men on the pitch today,
they didn't?
No. If they had kept 11 men on the pitch today, that wouldn't have been a 0-0 or maybe a 1-0 or a 0-1.
But they didn't.
No, they didn't. I agree. And it was a lot closer, Danny.
3 years ago, if they had signed Julian Draxler and Cristiano Ronaldo in the winter window, if Kate Upton had trotted out and dropped the ball in the second half, then that's not. I don't care what would have happened. That is not what did happen.
The point is, Danny, these were very, very tight matches, even when these teams went down a man. I'm sorry. That's just the way it was.
The point is that the
relentless
both gave
pressure, because you're down a man.
From these true European powers was too much to handle.
Excuse me. If Arsenal were down to 10 men against, against Southampton, they would have been pressed up against the wall as well. I don't know what point you're trying to make with that. They went down to 10 men.
Listen, my point is that 4 or 5 years ago, English teams would have welcomed Bayern Munich and Barcelona and Real Madrid, and the top 4, or in some cases even 5, would have been able to get a draw, would have been able to leave with a win. And on this night and the night before it, Nick, both teams were embarrassed. And
I totally disagree. If you think Man City were embarrassed, you need to really look at yourself in the mirror, Danny. I thought they played.
I understand, Nick.
All right,
I understand, Nick, that had they not had people sent off.
Get back on your pony and travel off to My Little Pony Land.
They have players sent off. They
Seriously.
were comprehensively beat.
They were. It was a close game. It was a tight game. It was a lot closer than you think. And I tell you what, in terms of Man City, I thought they had the run of play through large portions of the game. I know they went down a man. Oh, all right. Can't talk to you. All right. We're going to go to break. We'll be back.
No
800-878-PLAY. When does Mosse come on? Let's get someone who knows a thing or two. 800-878-PLAY. 800-878-PLAY. Find us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio. I'm watching you on this thing, Danny. Is Messi's head going to pop up? I don't know. All right, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
At least it's on.
All right, welcome back. World Soccer Radio. Nick and Danny with you as we break down the Champions League, sort of break down the Champions League, I suppose. We're gonna have to agree to disagree on this, Danny. Look,
yeah,
Barcelona and Bayern Munich are fantastic teams. Don't get me wrong. Do I think Bayern Munich are a better team than Barcelona? Yes. Did I think Barcelona totally dominated Manchester City yesterday? No, I don't. I think Di Michaelis gave up a stupid penalty because he's just not that good. His timing was off. It was a fair red card. It was a fair penalty. Messi scores, and quite honestly, City looked very much like that was going to stay as a 0-1 loss going into back to Spain, where maybe they could have nicked one. I mean, look, keep in mind they're also missing players like Aguero and a bunch of other good players that they need back. So I don't see anything about that. That was not a cracking loss. They were not dominated. They were not humiliated. That was not what I said the other day. That was not a 5-1 defeat at Anfield like Arsenal suffered. Arsenal today lost. I thought, an unfortunate red card, but it was a good red card. It was a fair red card. They're now down a man, and they just got to deal with it. So, I didn't think they were dominated either, by the way. I thought they had their chances. What if Ozil scores that penalty?
You know who you sound like right now?
What?
You sound like Arsene Wenger.
No, I don't.
What if Ozil scores the penalty? And what if, the socks that I wear this morning are not the beige and instead the blue? Stop making excuses.
I'm not making excuses, Danny. I'm just...
They got beat at home
but they didn't get a comprehensive arse smacking, okay? They got beat 2-0 by the current reigning European champions it was 2-0, but it wasn't 5-1, Danny. This is the point. That's the point.
2-0 in a home match.
A booty smack would have been 5-1, 4-0.
It was 2-0
3-1.
in a home
It was
match.
2-0 at the very end of the game. It was 1-0 for most of the game. You need to get off your European bandwagon and just try to look objectively at these teams.
I see. Please hit us up on Twitter at World Soccer Radio and let us know if you think the game in England is maybe the top teams in England have maybe fallen back a bit.
I don't think the top teams have fallen back. You're going to see that you are talking about the two current number 1 and number 2 or number 3 teams in the world in Bayern Munich and Barcelona. What's the big deal? Are you telling me that those are the only 2 teams? That anyone outside of those teams is not a top team? Because I'm telling you, I fully expect Manchester United to win. I fully expect Chelsea to win. I mean, we may well have an English team in the final of the Champions League this year.
When you're playing, when you're playing teams from east of the Balkans in the knockout stage, Nick, when you're playing, Galatasaray and Olympiacos, I expect them to win.
Well, yeah,
right?
One would expect them to win. Why? Because wouldn't you say that Chelsea are a top team? Who won the Champions League 2 years ago?
I don't. At this point, I don't know if Atletico Madrid and City without Aguero and Arsenal. I'm sorry, if United, City, and Arsenal could even beat Atletico Madrid. I'm not sure they could.
What about Chelsea?
After Chelsea's my one exception, but I think you look at the 3 Spanish teams. I think you look at Bayern Munich. I think you talk about PSG and possibly Chelsea as being the real top teams at the moment right now. Now Aguero, it's a big loss, and I will completely concede that yes, there were circumstantial events that led to, what happened in these last 2 nights, obviously, with the sending offs and all that and such. But when Barcelona knocked out Chelsea, if we go back to 2009 again, on that Andres Iniesta goal.
You were alive in 2009?
What? I was live in 2000.
Oh, really? Surprised.
When Barcelona knocked out Iniesta on that goal, there were circumstantial things that happened. But Barcelona went on and beat Man United in Rome 2-0. And we didn't look and say, oh, well, this happened here. No. We didn't look at the circumstantial issues. We looked at who was the European champion. And that's what the Champions League is about. It's like the NCAA tournament in that regard. So it's about results. It's not about, oh, well, this happened and they didn't have this and,
I'm not talking about, Danny, it's not about excuses, okay? It's about talking about, if you're looking at the teams, saying that a 2-0 victory against a team down to 10 men, against a team that is considered by people like you and Ray Hudson, and I love you both, okay, don't get me wrong, to be, the greatest orchestra of football ever.
Who do you love more?
Well, I know you better than Ray Hudson, but honestly, I appreciate both of you. Okay. But Arsene, shut up. Shut your French whining up, Arsene. Okay. Look, Barcelona are a better team than Man City in Europe. Absolutely. Okay. There's no doubt about that. Are they exponentially a better team? No. Are they marginally a better team? Yes.
What about PSG? What would PSG do to City? What did Bayern Munich do to City?
I really don't know. I really don't know what PSG would do to City. That's a totally different type of matchup. Okay, PSG tend to play a slightly more up-tempo game, and I think that would play well to City. So that may be a little bit closer of a match. Some of these style matchups are a little bit different. Okay, Barcelona have a way of putting a wet blanket on you and stopping your possession and movement really nicely while they're doing it themselves. And that kind of slows the game down quite a bit, by the way. PSG don't play that way. PSG play much more of a higher tempo style, and I think that would play into the coffers of a Man City, by the way, or an Arsenal. But who would win? I don't know. I think they're both terrific teams.
Here's the thing, is that the Barclays Premier League, okay, in the mid-90s when, okay, we all have to be honest, that in the early incarnations of the Barclays Premier League, it was not the top league in the world. It was very entertaining to watch, but because of the European sanctions, because of the 5-year ban, the league had taken a step back. You're the kind of guy that is still sitting there in the 90s saying, oh, Danny, it's the best football league in the world. Going
top
up to
bottom, top to bottom, the Premier League is hands down the best football league in the world.
It is right now.
It has been for a long, long time.
You are filled with pride and bias, and you would have said the same thing when it clearly wasn't the best league in the world. Okay?
I don't know that I would have, actually.
That you simply cannot deal with the idea that there are top teams in other leagues that are better than those in England.
Why do you say that, Danny? I mean, I can look at the Champions League and see who's won the Champions League. I don't disagree with you, but I'm just trying to look at a match that was between Manchester City and Barcelona, because that's a lot more of the one we're talking about here. Okay? And the way I look at that, my mic here.
Wow, Nick. Listen, you can go ahead and mention the sending offs, but all the sending offs were really good for was one extra goal. Okay, all the sending offs really changed.
Danny, can you hear that?
Was the one extra goal. All right, and yes, I understand that they were fortunate sending offs for those teams. I understand that they were lucky to go up a man, but it's because Barcelona and Bayern Munich provided relentless pressure, Nick. Okay. Yes, there were these
there wasn't any pressure going back the other way at all, Danny? Is that what you're telling me? It was just a one-sided game?
But it was already going to be 1-0 at that point. The games were headed in that direction. And frankly, it's stupid play by these, central defender and goalkeeper.
Well, in that regards, I don't disagree with you. But I think that you're looking at these games. I'm not making excuses, Danny. I'm not making excuses. Your beloved team, Barcelona.
Other individuals.
When was the last time Barcelona won the Champions League? Wait. Would you say the best team in the world is currently the best club team in Europe? Let's not say the world. The best club team in Europe is the one that is currently the current Champions League holder, right?
I don't think that's normally the case, but I do at this point.
Okay.
Yes.
So Bayern Munich. How about the year before? Was it Chelsea?
No.
No. The year before was Barcelona? Of course. Right,
yeah.
I mean, you see where we're going here, right, Danny? You're not able to look at this objectively.
Win.
When was the last time a Spanish team was in the final of the Champions League?
2011.
It was the year that Barcelona won the Champions League, which was now 2 years ago. So, you talk about this, but yet the very yardstick that you're using to judge this is telling you that that's just not the case, that your argument is wrong. English teams have been overrepresented in the late stages of the Champions League for years and years and years.
Well, and then brushed aside in the final.
Yeah, maybe. That may be because, the English teams don't have a winter break. They play a much more grueling schedule. I mean, this is generally when the English teams suffer is, in these early knockout rounds because they don't have a winter break.
But I think you did see a little bit that not having a winter break. Boy, did you hear what the commentary team said today, that during Bayern Munich's winter break, Arsenal played 6 Premier League games, and they played Tottenham in the FA Cup. I think that does kind of hurt the English team.
You think?
But I think that, when the draw came out, we talked about it on this show. Man City didn't have the championship pedigree. Arsenal are just not as good as the top teams in Europe.
And I still believe those two things.
They're just not as good as Barcelona and Bayern Munich and PSG and Real Madrid.
And I will agree with you. I'm not going to disagree with you. I don't think the Man City have the European pedigree. That's what I just said.
Not as good.
I just said that.
The top teams.
But I promise you, if you drop PSG into the Premier League,
Europe.
Dan, if you drop PSG in the Premier League and made them play 38 games in the Premier League, how do you think they'd fare? No, if you drop PSG in the Premier League and made them play 38 games, how do you think they would do?
They would probably finish second or third, I think.
God,
but
you're smoking crack, Danny.
What, do you think they're going to finish 6 or 7?
Yeah, I think they're going to be fighting in the top third with all the other teams up there.
How much League On have you watched?
Quite a lot of it. There's quite a lot of it. I even speak the language, Danny, which is one better than you, my friend. All right,
out of here.
We got to go to break. When we come back, we'll be joined by a man who knows a thing or two about football. No, I'm not talking about Danny. I'm talking about David Mosse, the stat man.
What a freaking joke.
All right. We'll be back after this. Oh, we still got some time. By the way, it's I'm having fun
Did you
today.
not just send us to break?
No.
What is going on here?
It's at World Soccer Radio, at World Soccer Radio, 800-878-PLAY.
Oh,
Let us know what you think. We're having a fun day today because Danny's so full of it. I'm surprised he can sit there. I mean, must be stinking up the place. All right, we got to go. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere.
So turn off the lights and close the door. But for what? We don't let him hold.
A sales team.
All right, welcome back to the show, World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. Nick Eber, Danny Page with you. Having a few technical issues today on our end. We apologize for that. Danny, do you have the audio feed going all right?
I don't. But anyway,
Okay.
I'll.
Well,
The real issue today is your shallow and biased opinions to favor the English game.
Really?
I find that to be the issue today, frankly, and I'm very interested to see what David Mosse has to say about all this nonsense.
All right. Well, I tell you what. Let's do that. Let's welcome to the show a regular contributor, a good friend, a special guy, Mr. David Mosse. David, how you doing?
Gentlemen, how are you? Is anybody going to hear this interview?
Well, I don't know. I can hear you. Danny, you got David? How about David now? David, you there?
I am.
Okay, good. Well, I think I have you. I don't know. Danny kind of has you, right? Sort of. All right. Well, David, so the discussion, we're talking about European football. We're talking about, obviously, the English teams and how they fared. My contention, David, is that, yeah, absolutely, the Barcelona won, Bayern Munich won. But I thought those matches were a lot closer than guys like Danny Page would like you to think.
Well, certainly the Arsenal match. Arsenal got off to a great start, and obviously should have taken the lead. That was a terribly taken penalty by Ozil, and yeah, that's a match that would have been very interesting, 11-on-11. Barcelona, Man City. I did think City was very disappointing, and Barcelona was already sort of controlling the game anyway. Now, with 11 men on the field, City might have been able to turn that around in the second half. We'll never know. But no, I mean, I just think I do think the Premier League has gotten a little bit weaker at the top. It's still the most fun league. It's the deepest league. But we're a long way from the late 2000s when you had 3 semifinalists 3 straight years and an all-English final in 2008. Should have had one in 2009 if Chelsea hadn't gotten screwed by Barcelona. And now you do see that there are certain teams like Barcelona, Bayern, Real Madrid that I think are cut above any team in the Premier League. So that, to me, there is something to be said about that.
Well, David. Well, hold on a second.
Oh, yes.
Now, it's interesting. It's an interesting discussion. I'm not sure that I agree with you, and I'm not sure that I'm saying that English teams are the best teams in the world or they're going to dominate the Champions League. The point that I've been trying to say here, although Danny is he's got his Barca glasses on and he doesn't see anything other than his beloved Lionel Messi in front of him, is that these games I thought were a lot closer than people are making out. I mean, look, Arsenal today, I thought, put up a great fight against an exceptional Bayern Munich team, a team that's much better, that's a better team than they are, let's face it. And that game, could have ended 0-1, and that would have been, I would have thought, a bad result for Bayern Munich. They ended up getting the late goal, sort of another late goal concession. I thought there were portions of the Barcelona Manchester City match where I thought Man City were really taking it to Barcelona. So, look, I just think it just depends how you look at it, but to your point, David, one of the interesting things that we're seeing is that there are now a lot more big teams around Europe that have pull on the big players. It used to just be the handful, the top 4, the top 5, that were always out there bidding big money for the big players. It's a lot more now. It's 7 or 8 teams that can really throw their hat in the ring when a superstar comes up. And I think we're seeing that sort of difference being made.
No question. I mean, 5 years ago, Cavani and Falcao would have gone to the Premier League. And now they went to France instead. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That's robbing the Premier League of some players that they would have normally gotten that would have strengthened those teams. So yeah, that's absolutely a big factor here. There's just new money popping up everywhere, and there's more big clubs than there've ever been before. And yeah, that's an absolute factor. I agree.
I think one thing that Nick and I have been rather vigorously debating on this show, David, which, by the way, it's great to have you on, as always, is, to me, yes, Nick feels that the games were closer than some think, but I think that sending off or no sending off, those games are going to be short of the hour mark at 1-0. And regardless, the pressure had been building for Barcelona and Bayern Munich away in England, which always seems to be such a difficult place to play for Spanish teams especially. And that really what matters in the end, it was a comprehensive scoreline. It was a 2-0 away victory in England, and I think it demonstrated that the top teams have taken a step back. And really, it's to the benefit of all of us because it makes the Barclays Premier League so much more entertaining across the board if the top teams are maybe they don't have the distance they used to.
Oh, yeah, Nick and I have been talking about this a lot. I mean, this has been the most fun Premier League season in years. I love this parity and all these close races. But yeah, to your point, Danny, I also think timing plays such a role in this. I think all of us about 3 or 4 weeks ago, when City was knocking in 5 or 6 goals a match and Barcelona was kind of stumbling around, we all had the Man City-Barcelona conversation where we said to a friend, boy, I really think City's going to knock them out. And then between then and now, it just shifted. The City had some injuries. They lost Agüero. They lost their form a little bit. Barcelona got their act together. And, I think there was a point this season where if Barcelona and Man City had played, it would have been more of an even match. And same is true to some extent with Arsenal and Bayern Munich. But I don't know what it is. The English teams, these 2 English teams this week just didn't seem to arrive at this match in the best of form and the best of shape. And missing key players, obviously, with Arsenal, with Walcott and Ramsey, and whatever's going on with Giroud. I mean, that's a whole other topic. So, I mean, they just suffered for it. I mean, it's such a small margin for error at this level. You really need to be in your absolute top form to beat teams like Barcelona and Bayern.
And Danny, I mean, it's all very well you saying, well, it doesn't matter, what ifs or what have yous, but this game, regardless of going down to 10 men, would have been 1-0 at the half. But, again, then I say, well, how big was that Ozil miss? I mean, Ozil scores that penalty.
But he did miss.
No, well, right.
You can't make Wenger-esque excuses.
Well, and they did go down to 10 men, which is exact. I'm using the same logic that you're applying in your argument, saying, well, it doesn't matter they went down to 10 men. They still would have been down 1 goal at the half. So you can't play it both ways, Danny. It's either one way or it's the other, but you can't be a good politician and have both sides of the fence. Or maybe you think you can. I don't know.
Give me a break.
All right, David.
David, what was the vibe what was the vibe in the Fox studio over the last couple days about things that we haven't discussed? I mean, PSG's performance. What about the fact that not a single home team scored a goal? I mean, this is pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah, that was a big talking point, and it was a letdown the last couple of days, Danny. I'll admit we really expected more out of the Man City Barcelona match, even when it was 11-11. The way that match was going, it wasn't as exciting, as thrilling as we thought, given how many goals both those teams had scored this season. I thought Manuel Pellegrini made some odd choices, playing Kolarov in the midfield. And then Arsenal-Bayern got off to a great start. Yeah, the control room was buzzing those first 15, 20 minutes there, but yeah, I think both games, I mean, the red cards just killed the games, and from that point on, it was almost like an offense-defense drill for the team that had 11 players. I mean, the numbers today were just staggering. Bayern Munich in the second half of that game had 242 passes in the final third. Arsenal had 3. It was, I mean, the second half of that game was a joke, and like Nick said, I mean, Arsenal hung on, and really Bayern, they toyed around a little bit. They left it very late to get that second goal. 1-0 would have been a pretty disappointing result for them given the circumstances, but they did get that second goal to kill off the tie. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of a disappointing vibe because we definitely expected more out of these games, and to have both these ties pretty much settled already is kind of disappointing. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, well, I'll tell you what, David, we're running, we don't have all that much time. We do have a little bit, so I want to get onto a couple other topics. First of all, let's talk about the red card rule. Would you like to see some changes there?
Absolutely. I hate that rule. I think it's well-intentioned, but the way it's being applied now, just too many games are wrecked by plays that, the referee has no choice, but your common sense tells you that it shouldn't be a red card. I think FIFA definitely needs to revisit that and take a look at it. When there's a ball chipped in the box like that, the goalkeeper's job is to go for it. And then once Chesney realized he wasn't going to get there, he made every effort he could to not collide with Robin. And he did get enough contact that you had to whistle the penalty, but a straight red card there, I don't know. I thought that was a very tough decision.
I agree.
Sadly, I couldn't agree more either. I think that's exactly right. And it's all leagues, all play, worldwide. This rule needs to be looked at. If the player goes in with intent, that's one thing. And I know it's really hard for referees to think about what the intent is. But you made a great point. Chesney deliberately, tried to pull away. That you could see that happening, but the momentum carried him forward. There was nothing he could do. Was it a penalty? Absolutely. Should it have been a red card? I thought that was really harsh.
Yeah, and then, of course, the day before, the issue is whether it was inside or outside the box. Yeah. And I think it was probably slightly outside. So, yeah, both Premier League sides did get burned a little bit the last couple of days on those things off.
I would like to see instant replay for penalty calls as one of the very, very few times I think you really could go to the tape, because the referee will always stops there because he has to stop it, because he has to set the ball on the penalty spot and put the team behind the penalty arc and do all of that sort of stuff. That is an opportunity where they could look and decide, was the play outside of the box? Was that really, was there contact made? Was that, was it a dive, or was it a legitimate penalty? That's a time that they could do that. And very few other times, but that is one time they could do it, David. So those are the sorts of things I'd like them to look at. I don't think they ever will, though.
No, I mean, they seem to be happy with this rule and the way it's being enforced. I've been complaining about it for years, but I've seen no quotes from FIFA about changing it, so I think it's here to stay, unfortunately.
Yeah. Very quickly, I do want to touch on another topic, something that irritates me enormously. I was very irritated today, David, that I had to watch the match on my little screen, because I didn't get Fox Sports 2 in high definition, and I don't watch things anymore in standard definition. Why is it that this big game was put on to Fox 2, and I believe it was NASCAR truck racing was on the big Fox?
Well, two reasons. And first of all, that's out of our control. I mean, we'd love for every game to be on the big Fox if we could. But
I want to put you on the spot and make you feel bad, so go ahead.
No, unfortunately, soccer is farther down on the pecking order. I mean, NASCAR, whatever you think of it, does do very good numbers, and that's one reason. And number two, they do want to promote Fox Sports 2 a little bit and generate a little buzz for that network. I mean, it's something that ESPN did many years back with ESPN 2, and we're able to grow that network and make it sort of mainstream. And so I think that's the idea a little bit with Fox, but I think we're a long ways from that at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I was disappointed to say the least, and I'll hold you personally responsible, David.
Well, it's a great segue for our new show, WSCR, which is World Stock Car Radio. Hey, David, what's up with the Europa League tomorrow, man? What are you looking out for?
Oh, we got Nipro Juan de Ramos against Tottenham. He's been very outspoken the last couple of days about he's still very bitter about Tottenham for sacking him. And then Swansea against Napoli. That'll be fun. Rafa Benitez already won this competition twice before with Valencia and Chelsea, and we'll see if he can win it with a third different club in Napoli. So, yeah, a couple pretty good games tomorrow we'll be highlighting.
Yeah, those will be fun. We'll watch those. Now, where can we find those? Will you be broadcasting those via smoke signal or semaphore from the Fox building?
No, they'll be all over. We'll have a bunch of different matches tomorrow on all the various networks, Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, Fox Sports Plus, Fox Soccer Plus. So you just have to keep checking around. You'll find it.
All right, David. Well, always a pleasure. We'd love to have you back on again next week, and especially after we get back to our good old Premier League, good old comfy home. Be nice to have it back. All right, David. Thank you so much. David Mosse, the stat man himself. By the way, throwing out some good stats there for us, Danny. I mean,
yeah,
David
David
will be the type of guy you're going to have over for dinner, and he's going to tell you, how many left turns he made on the way up there versus the other guy next to him. He only made 2 left and 1 right.
Calories in your porterhouse and steamed broccoli.
Exactly. All right, World Soccer Radio, we're going to go to break. Nick and Danny, 800-878-PLAY, or find us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio. That's at World Soccer Radio. I can't wait to get back to the Premier League. I'll say it again. I can't wait to get back to the Premier League. Such exciting races going on, Danny. I don't want the race ever to end. All right, we'll be right back after this on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Don't go anywhere. right, welcome back. Nick and Danny, World Soccer Radio on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. By the way, there's loads of ways you can find us, whether it's iHeartRadio or TuneIn.com. Obviously, if you're in the service and you're listening to the Fans channel on American Forces, or if you're just in your car and you're tuned into one of the affiliate stations of the Sports Byline Network, we love to do this, and we're with you every weeknight from 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure that you put us in your book, your iPhone, your iPad, your Maxi Pad, whatever it is you put us on. Put us in there. And in Sharpie, not in pencil, right, Danny? Pencils for people that have commitment problems. Wouldn't you agree?
I just am still reeling from a couple of your comments throughout this program. It's been a fun one, but now I truly understand your bias towards all things English.
This is not true.
Yeah.
By the way, there's one team I would love to see win this. Do you know what team that is?
Bayer Leverkusen.
No.
Olympiacos.
I would love to see PSG win this.
Really?
I would love to
you
see
don't really
Paris
speak
Saint-Germain.
French, do you?
I do.
When did you learn to speak French?
From the age of 5 in England.
Burlesque show.
Yeah, that's right. No, I'd love to see PSG win. It'd be great to get a new win. It'd be great to have PSG hoist the European Cup. It would be fantastic. Love to see that happen. Also, by the way, I'm a big Real Madrid fan. That is my Spanish team because they, for me, are a lot more fun than Barcelona.
What?
Yeah,
oh, no.
we can get into that another time. I do love Real Madrid. Don't get me wrong. I love that team.
You're just saying that to
no, I'm not.
Fired up.
No, I'm not. Love Madrid. All right, we'd love to know what your favorite team is, how you feel about this. Who's your pick to win the Champions League? Who would you love to see? What dark horse would you like to see win the Champions League? And if you say Man United, we're going to unfriend you. All right, find us on Twitter, @World Soccer Radio, Facebook, facebook.com/World Soccer Radio. We'll be back with you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll talk about the thrilling Europa League ties that are happening tomorrow. And, of course, we'll start taking a look ahead at the Premier League. Danny, sound good for you?
Sounds like a great show.
Hey.
Getting ready for the Premier League, and we're going to talk about the Europa League, and that's that.
Yeah, all right. So, folks, stick around because coming up next, a legend of the game, Mr. Ron Barr. You can only find him on the Sports Byline Network, which is where you are right now. So don't move. Don't go anywhere. We, however, do have to go, but we'll be back with you at 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Cheers. Have a wonderful evening.
Guys, have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks.
Later, Danny.